Hello and welcome to the Hibs Observer post-match briefing with myself, Liam Bryce, joined by Patrick McPartlin, live from Pittodrie after a 3-1 win for Hibs over Aberdeen. Patrick, we'll get straight to it. You can hear the Hibs fans there behind you in the background, and the noise kind of tells you everything you need to know about that result and performance, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. A huge win for David Gray, a huge win for Hibs. And if I'm honest, like a really impressive performance. Going behind early on to Toby Keskinen's goal, I think you sort of feared the worst, just because of what the Hibs team has been like this season. But credit to Hibs, they came back straight away with a really well worked goal for the equaliser. They then got the second goal before half time, scored the third shortly after, and from then on, never really looked in any real danger. Just listening to the home fans around us in the main stand, very much not happy with the way things were going. A lot of cheering, a lot of shouting. And I think Hibs probably played this game to perfection. There was a fair amount of housery going on from players like Josh Campbell, Martin Boyle. But just that sort of, I think it's that sort of attitude, that mentality that's been missing from this Hibs team. And, certainly contributed to what was a really important win at a place where historically they've struggled, certainly in recent seasons. As you say, you can hear the noise from the Hibs fans in that far corner. It's the opposite end of the stadium and on the far side, and you can hear them loud and clear. And easy to see why, because this was a really accomplished performance. And we talked before the game about this being another big test for Hibs and a different test to last week, and it's one they've passed with flying colours. And again, they've won a game by scoring 3 goals, which seems to be the Hibs way now.
Yeah, I think David Gray will take that every single week. It was such an issue earlier on in the season, not making the most of those chances. Just let me double check the stats here. There was a lot of talk about Hibs being wasteful. David Gray addressed it himself, but they've scored 3 goals from 4 shots on target today, which is the definition of being clinical, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it could have been more. They were unlucky with a few efforts, some good defending from Aberdeen. But, David Gray said this himself, if you're only getting 4 chances in a game, but you're taking 3 of them, then, I think that's all that really matters. And, the other thing as well is we've been critical of players not performing to, the best of their abilities this season. I think we should probably talk about Martin Boyle, who, came into the starting lineup after a spell on the bench. And, just absolutely strolled it today. 2 assists in the first half. He gets the third goal, and then winds up the Aberdeen fans in the celebration. It was vintage Boyle, actually. I don't think it's too sort of hyperbolic to say that. It was a really impressive performance from him individually, but the team overall as well. We've said before how Hibs tick when Eliuan is on song. He was impressive today, but today was all about Martin Boyle, who just another kind of redemption arc, I suppose, from the player who's, not been contributing the way that we know he can, to then come back and just run the show at Pittodrie. And as I say, from the 49th minute onwards when he scored, Hibs never really looked in any real danger. Some good saves from Jordan Smith at the start of the second period. Some dogged defending, celebrating tackles and clearances like goals. And just, we've not really seen much of this side of Hibs so far this season. So it's, we did say, like, does this mean a corner's been turned? If there is a victory today. Yesterday, I was quite adamant that, it wouldn't mean anything. There's obviously a very big game on Boxing Day, but, it's a huge step in the right direction regardless.
Yeah, I think that's the key phrase, isn't it? It's a huge step in the right direction. Just on Martin Boyle as well, just to bring it back to him a wee bit. I think I said to you after the game last week that I noticed that after the full-time whistle, the rest of the players were kind of circling the pitch, applauding the fans. But Boyle, he sort of only come on and played for 10 minutes, looked pretty frustrated. He was sort of right down the tunnel on his own. Kind of all the kind of telltale signs of a guy who is not kind of happy at his time on the pitch. But I suppose, if you're going to get the chance and you've got that frustration within you, you've got to then channel it the right way. You've got to be ready when called upon. And I think it's probably fair to say he's proved a bit of a point, do you think, with that performance that he's, because a lot of people have been kind of writing him off a wee bit recently. There's been talk, has he lost a yard of pace? Is he quite good? The injuries taking their toll on him. Is he quite the player that he was? But he showed today that he's still got match-winning displays in his locker, hasn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you said you didn't look happy last week. I mean, he looked happy enough today, and rightly so, because it really was, a fantastic performance. I mean, a good team performance, but you need your players like Boyle and Yuan to be on top of their game, and that's what we got today. And people mentioning in the comments about Triantis, again, a really good performance from him today as well, at the base of midfield. And I think that, I mean, you look at some of the players who've sort of had rocky starts to the season, maybe didn't really convince to begin with, and then, I mean, Josh Campbell's another one. Josh Campbell played well today. He was brought back into the starting lineup after 2 goals off the bench in consecutive games. And, I mean, a really good performance from him as well, in that kind of number 10 role. We know he's not a conventional number 10. We know he's never going to be pulling off passes like Josh Campbell, like Scott Allen, or somebody similar like that. But I mean, I felt it was a bold call to bring him in for Junior Hoylett, who's done well in that role. Bold as well to start sort of 2, if you like, unconventional centre forwards in a strike partnership and leave Dwight Gale on the bench. But in the end, Hibs didn't need Gale or Hoylett, and I mean, that was a mark of how much this team has turned, and the credit that David Gray deserves for managing to coax more out of this team and more out of the individuals. We could go through the whole team with players who have kind of improved in the past few weeks, and Gray himself, who I think was teetering on the precipice after that 2-1 home defeat by St Mirren, has kind of brought it back. And there were still issues in the first half. There was slack passes. Aberdeen got in a couple of times. Rocky Bashiri with a couple of really important blocks and interceptions. I think Ahora will be buying Bashiri the pints tonight, because there was one where Ahora did really well to win the ball back, and then just gave it straight away to Leighton Clarkson, who played in Keskinen, who'd already scored by this point, and Rocky did really well to get in there and not just get the challenge in, but win a goal kick as well. So you can see that sort of, we've talked before about this kind of the spirit that this Hibs team has, and this sort of these battling qualities that were alarmingly absent earlier on in the season. But I mean, we're seeing them in an abundance now, and you saw that today throughout the game. Hibs celebrating challenges and tackles, blocks, interceptions, you name it, like they were goals. And it just sort of it shows the sort of the team spirit that Gray and the players have fostered. And we talked before about that meeting that Joe Newell held, the sort of players only meeting, and I mean, it certainly seems to have worked wonders. And exactly the sort of result you would want before an Edinburgh derby against a Hearts team who will probably be looking for a reaction to how things have been for them in recent weeks. But if Hibs can go there full of confidence and still riding this kind of wave of momentum, then it's the best possible preparation for such an important game. But they all are important games, as we say.
Indeed, they are.
And you can only take one game at a time. I think David Gray would be disappointed if we didn't mention that. So
Yep. Aye, it is the David Gray catchphrase at the moment, but rightly so, and it's working for him at the moment. We're going to leave it there, folks, so Patrick can get off to the post-match press conference. He'll be speaking to David Gray, obviously get a reaction to the performance, and also maybe a wee quick update on a couple of those injuries. Warren Ahora and Joe Newell both going off, so stay tuned to our website and social channels potentially for kind of tentative initial updates on there. Folks, if you can hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. We are very, very nearly at 1,000 subscribers now. So if we could get a wee final push from anybody who's tuning in who hasn't yet subscribed, that should get us over the line in time for Christmas, hopefully. But there we are, a brilliant result and performance for Hibs today. Thank you for joining us, folks. If you're heading back down from Pittodrie, safe travels there. Everybody just enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm sure you will after that Hibs performance. Thanks, Patrick, for joining us from Pittodrie. Sure. We'll speak to you all again very soon. Sorry, couldn't quite get that out there. Cheers for joining us. We'll catch you again soon.